The biting wind whipped across the Chicago skyline, mirroring the chill that had settled deep within Anya Petrova. Inside the sterile, glass-walled office of Innovate Solutions, the air was thick with unspoken tension. Anya, a lead architect renowned for her innovative AI algorithms, stood before Marcus Thorne, the CEO, a man whose smile never quite reached his eyes. Just last week, Anya had single-handedly secured the Horizon project, a multi-billion-dollar contract that would catapult Innovate Solutions into a league of its own. She'd poured months, sacrificing sleep and personal life, into crafting the winning proposal. Her team, fueled by her unwavering dedication and brilliant strategies, had delivered a presentation that left the competition in the dust. The celebratory champagne had barely been uncorked. Now the celebratory mood was a distant memory. "Anya," Marcus began, his voice laced with a thinly veiled condescension, "we appreciate your contributions to the Horizon project. However, after careful consideration, the board has decided to restructure the leadership team." Anya's brow furrowed. "Restructure? What does that mean exactly?" Marcus steepled his fingers, his gaze unwavering. "It means that you will be stepping down as lead architect, effective immediately. We've decided to bring in a more experienced individual to oversee the project's implementation, someone with a proven track record in large-scale deployments." The words hit Anya like a physical blow. Disbelief warred with a rising tide of anger. "Experienced? Marcus, I designed the entire system. I know it inside and out. This project is my brainchild." "Precisely," Marcus countered, his tone hardening. "And that's precisely why we need someone with a broader perspective. Someone who can see the forest for the trees, so to speak. Someone less emotionally invested." He paused, a cruel glint in his eye. "Besides, Anya, let's be honest. This project is far too important to be entrusted to someone like you." The implication hung heavy in the air. Someone like me, a woman in a male-dominated field, an immigrant with an accent, someone who dared to challenge the status quo. Anya had faced microaggressions throughout her career at Innovate Solutions, subtle jabs and dismissive comments that chipped away at her confidence. But this was different. This was blatant, unapologetic discrimination. "This is outrageous," Anya said, her voice trembling with suppressed fury. "I've dedicated years to this company. I've consistently exceeded expectations. And now you're telling me I'm being replaced because I'm not the right fit?" Marcus shrugged, a gesture that reeked of indifference. "Business is business, Anya. Sometimes difficult decisions have to be made. We're offering you a severance package, of course, a generous one, I might add. Consider it a thank you for your past service." The severance package was an insult. A paltry sum that barely compensated for the years of hard work and dedication she had poured into the company. It was a bribe, a desperate attempt to silence her. But Anya was not about to be silenced. "And if I refuse the severance?" she asked, her voice now dangerously low. Marcus chuckled. "Then you'll be terminated without cause. It's your choice, Anya. But I assure you, fighting us will be a waste of your time and resources." He underestimated her. He underestimated her resolve, her intelligence, and the carefully worded clauses she had insisted on including in her initial employment contract. Clauses that, at the time, had seemed like mere formalities, but now represented her only hope for retribution. Clauses that granted her significant intellectual property rights over any AI algorithm she developed during her tenure at Innovate Solutions. Anya met Marcus's gaze, her eyes blazing with defiance. "I think you'll find that I'm not as easily dismissed as you believe, Marcus. This isn't over, not by a long shot." She turned and walked out of the office, the wind howling around her, a symphony of injustice and simmering rage. As the elevator doors closed, Anya Petrova knew one thing: she would not be a victim. She would be a force to be reckoned with. The game had just begun. Resumo temático. Uma profissional exemplar é humilhada e injustamente demitida após garantir contrato crucial para a empresa, mas usa uma cláusula contratual inesperada para se vingar e, posteriormente, funda sua própria empresa, superando seus antigos empregadores e alcançando sucesso ainda maior. Back in her sparsely decorated apartment, the skyline now a mocking panorama of her defeat, Anya reread her employment contract. The clause regarding intellectual property, buried deep within legalese, was her lifeline. It stated unequivocally that Innovate Solutions held no rights to any AI algorithm she developed outside of direct company directives, unless those algorithms were demonstrably integrated into a company project within a specific time frame. The Horizon project, crucially, hadn't reached that integration stage. Her work was still legally hers. A slow smile spread across Anya's face. Marcus Thorne had dismissed her as emotional, but he had failed to recognize the cold, calculating logic that now simmered beneath her anger. He thought he was stealing her success, her future. He was wrong. He was merely igniting a fire. The next morning, Anya's lawyer, a sharp-witted woman named Ms. Davies, delivered a cease and desist letter to Innovate Solutions, asserting Anya's intellectual property rights over the core AI algorithms underlying the Horizon project. The letter demanded that Innovate Solutions immediately cease all use of Anya's algorithms and enter into negotiations for a licensing agreement. The reaction at Innovate Solutions was swift and furious. Marcus Thorne personally called Anya, his voice dripping with venom. "You think you can blackmail us, Anya? You think you can hold the Horizon project hostage? You're making a grave mistake." "Blackmail, Marcus? I'm simply protecting my intellectual property," Anya replied, her voice calm and unwavering. "Perhaps you should have read the fine print before you so rudely dismissed me. The Horizon project is built on my work. Without my algorithms, it's nothing but an empty shell. We'll fight you, Anya. We have the resources, the lawyers. You don't stand a chance." "Really, Marcus? Because last I checked, the algorithm is the resource. And last I checked, I own that resource." "Think about it, Marcus. Months of work, millions of dollars invested, all hinging on code I can simply revoke access to. What will your investors say then?" Anya paused, letting the threat hang in the air. "Perhaps you should consider that generous severance package again. This time, let's talk royalties too." The line went silent. Anya knew she had struck a nerve. Marcus Thorne, for all his bluster, was a businessman above all else. And Anya had just presented him with a business problem he couldn't simply bully his way out of. Later that day, Ms. Davies called. "Innovate Solutions has agreed to negotiate, Anya, but they're playing hardball. They're offering a pittance, a token gesture. Then we counter," Anya said, her voice hardening. "We don't just want royalties, Ms. Davies. We want something more. We want a statement, a public apology for the discriminatory way I was treated. And we want them to know that I'm just getting started." Anya knew that even with a favorable settlement, she couldn't stay in Chicago. The city, once a symbol of her ambition, was now tainted by the memory of her humiliation. She needed a fresh start, a place where she could build something new, something better. As she packed her belongings, Anya felt a sense of exhilaration she hadn't experienced in years. The anger was still there, a burning ember fueling her determination. But now it was mixed with a potent cocktail of hope and defiance. She was no longer defined by her past. She was defined by her future, and that future, she vowed, would be one of unparalleled success. Marcus Thorne and Innovate Solutions would soon learn that they hadn't just fired an employee, they had unleashed a force of nature. Resumo temático. Uma profissional exemplar é humilhada e injustamente demitida após garantir contrato crucial para a empresa, mas usa uma cláusula contratual inesperada para se vingar e, posteriormente, funda sua própria empresa, superando seus antigos empregadores e alcançando sucesso ainda maior. Leaving Chicago felt like shedding a skin. Anya chose Silicon Valley, a place teeming with innovation and ruthless ambition, a landscape as unforgiving as the one she'd just left. She rented a modest apartment in Palo Alto, the rent swallowing a significant chunk of her settlement money, but proximity to the tech giants was crucial. She needed to be where the future was being built. Her first few weeks were a whirlwind of networking events, investor pitches, and coding sessions that stretched late into the night. She named her company Phoenix AI, a deliberate symbol of her rise from the ashes of Innovate Solutions. Her initial focus was on refining her core algorithms, the ones Marcus Thorne had so carelessly dismissed, and adapting them for applications beyond the Horizon project. She saw potential in healthcare, finance, and even environmental sustainability. The Valley was a shark tank, and Anya knew she needed to be more than just brilliant. She needed to be relentless. She practiced her pitch until it was razor-sharp, anticipating every possible question and objection. She learned to navigate the complex world of venture capital, understanding the subtle cues and power dynamics that governed the flow of money. One evening, after a particularly grueling pitch to a panel of skeptical investors, Anya found herself at a small, dimly lit bar, nursing a glass of wine. She was exhausted, her confidence shaken. The investors had been polite but non-committal, their faces betraying a lack of belief in her vision. As she was about to leave, a woman approached her. "Anya Petrova, right?" the woman said, extending her hand. "I'm Sarah Chen. I saw your presentation. Impressive." Sarah was a partner at a prominent venture capital firm known for its investments in disruptive technologies. She had a reputation for being tough but fair, a shrewd judge of talent and potential. "Thank you," Anya said, surprised. "I wasn't sure anyone was paying attention." Sarah chuckled. "Oh, people are always paying attention, especially when someone threatens to derail a project as big as the Horizon project. Anya stiffened. I was simply protecting my intellectual property. Of course, Sarah said, her eyes twinkling. But you did more than that, Anya. You showed them that you're not someone to be trifled with and that in this town is worth a lot. They talked for hours about Anya's vision for Phoenix AI, about the potential applications of her algorithms, and about the challenges she faced as a woman in a male-dominated industry. Sarah listened intently, asking probing questions and offering insightful feedback. As the evening drew to a close, Sarah leaned in and said, Anya, I think you've got something special here. I'm willing to take a chance on you, but I'm not just offering you money. I'm offering you my expertise, my network, and my unwavering support. Anya's heart leaped. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. I don't know what to say, Sarah. Say yes, Sarah replied with a confident smile, and let's show them what you're really capable of. Anya shook her hand, a wave of relief and gratitude washing over her. She had found her champion, her ally in this cutthroat world, and with Sarah's backing, Phoenix AI was about to take flight. Meanwhile, back in Chicago, Innovate Solutions was facing a crisis. The Horizon project was behind schedule and over budget. The replacement architect, handpicked by Marcus Thorne, was struggling to grasp the intricacies of Anya's algorithms. Key clients were growing impatient, and investors were starting to question the company's leadership. Marcus Thorne was feeling the pressure. He had underestimated Anya Petrova, and he was now paying the price. The public apology and royalty payments were a constant reminder of his misjudgment. He tried to downplay the situation, telling his board that it was a temporary setback, that they would find a way to salvage the project. But deep down, he knew that Innovate Solutions was in trouble. One afternoon, Marcus received a call from a potential investor, a billionaire tech mogul known for his ruthlessness and his uncanny ability to spot emerging trends. The investor had expressed interest in acquiring Innovate Solutions, but he had one condition. He wanted to meet with Anya Petrova. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He knew what the investor was thinking. He wanted to see if Anya was the real talent behind the Horizon project, if she was the one who held the key to the company's future. He reluctantly agreed to arrange the meeting, knowing that it could be his undoing. As he hung up the phone, he couldn't shake the feeling that Anya Petrova was about to have the last laugh. He had tried to bury her, to silence her, but instead, he had inadvertently paved the way for her ultimate triumph. The realization hit him with the force of a physical blow. Anya wasn't just going to succeed, she was going to surpass him. Resumo temático. Uma profissional exemplar é humilhada e injustamente demitida após garantir contrato crucial para a empresa, mas usa uma cláusula contratual inesperada para se vingar e, posteriormente, funda sua própria empresa, superando seus antigos empregadores e alcançando sucesso ainda maior. The meeting was set for the following week at a neutral location, a sleek, modern restaurant in downtown Chicago. Anya, accompanied by Sarah, arrived precisely on time. Marcus, looking pale and noticeably thinner, was already waiting. He stood when they approached, offering a weak smile. Anya, he said, his voice strained. Sarah, thank you for coming. The billionaire investor, Mr. Volkov, a man whose age was impossible to determine, sat silently, his eyes sharp and assessing. He offered a curt nod. The air crackled with unspoken tension. Dinner was a tense affair. Marcus stammered through a prepared presentation, highlighting Innovate Solutions' past successes and future potential. Mr. Volkov remained impassive, occasionally interjecting with pointed questions about the Horizon project and the challenges they were facing. Anya, for the most part, remained silent, observing the scene with a detached amusement. She knew this wasn't about Innovate Solutions. It was about her. It was about the potential she represented, the fire she had ignited. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Mr. Volkov turned to Anya. Ms. Petrova, he said, his voice surprisingly gentle. Mr. Thorne tells me you were instrumental in developing the core algorithms for the Horizon project. Is that correct? Yes, sir, Anya replied, meeting his gaze directly. I designed and developed the entire AI system. And why are you no longer with Innovate Solutions? Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Anya decided to pursue other opportunities, he offered lamely. Mr. Volkov raised an eyebrow. Is that how you would describe it, Ms. Petrova? Anya allowed a small, knowing smile to play on her lips. I would describe it as being unjustly dismissed after delivering the biggest contract in the company's history. The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus's face flushed crimson. He opened his mouth to protest, but Mr. Volkov silenced him with a wave of his hand. Tell me, Ms. Petrova, Mr. Volkov continued, his gaze unwavering. If you were still at Innovate Solutions, how would you address the challenges facing the Horizon project? Anya leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with passion. I would focus on optimization, streamlining the algorithms for greater efficiency and scalability. I would also explore new applications for the technology, expanding its potential beyond the initial scope of the project. She outlined her vision with clarity and precision, demonstrating her deep understanding of the system and her unwavering belief in its potential. Mr. Volkov listened intently, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he nodded slowly. "Interesting," he said. "Very interesting." He then turned to Marcus. "Mr. Thorne," he said, his voice now cold and dismissive, "I've made my decision. I will not be investing in Innovate Solutions." Marcus's face crumpled. But why? What changed?" Mr. Volkov stood up, signaling the end of the meeting. "I invest in talent, Mr. Thorne, and it's clear to me that the talent is not here." He extended his hand to Anya. "Ms. Petrova, I would like to discuss the possibility of investing in Phoenix AI. I believe you have a bright future ahead of you." Anya shook his hand, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. "I would be honored, Mr. Volkov." As they walked out of the restaurant, leaving Marcus Thorne speechless and defeated, Sarah squeezed Anya's arm. "See, I told you, you're a force of nature." Over the next few months, Phoenix AI flourished. With Mr. Volkov's backing, Anya assembled a team of brilliant engineers and developers, attracting talent from across the industry. They refined her algorithms, expanded their applications, and secured lucrative contracts with major corporations. 1 year after her humiliating dismissal, Anya Petrova stood on the stage of a prestigious tech conference, accepting an award for innovation in artificial intelligence. As she looked out at the audience, she saw Marcus Thorne sitting in the back row, his face a mask of bitterness and regret. In her acceptance speech, Anya spoke about the importance of perseverance, the power of innovation, and the need to challenge the status quo. She didn't mention Innovate Solutions by name, but everyone in the room knew who she was talking about. "Sometimes," she said, her voice ringing with confidence, "the greatest setbacks can become the greatest opportunities. Sometimes being underestimated can be your greatest strength, and sometimes the people who try to tear you down only end up building you up higher." As the applause thundered around her, Anya Petrova knew that she had not only achieved her revenge, but had surpassed her wildest dreams. She had built a company that was not only successful, but also a force for good in the world. She had turned her humiliation into triumph, her anger into innovation, and her pain into purpose. And in doing so, she had proven that even the most crushing defeats can be the catalyst for extraordinary success. The Phoenix had truly risen.